Hey guys, we are now going to look at creating simple charts in Python uh, and understand how the syntax look like. We cannot go more deeper inside that, but we're going to do some basic stuff. So there are four ways to create, four ways to create chart. One is using the data frame itself. One is explicitly going into matplotlib, which is a charting library. The other is using Seaborn, and the other is using Plotly, or it's a JavaScript based charting where it's like animation and everything that you could work with. So let's start. I'm going to start with this very simple chart to show you how charting works. Now, given that there are so many parameters inside charting which you cannot remember, so you have to always do some reverse engineering and recycling of code before you become an expert on the charting issue. Now, when I say fig is equal to plot.figure, I'm creating this fig object which I can use into the future to do anything. And whenever I say plot.plt, I'm calling the plt dot plot and I'm plotting that out. So this is the most basic plot that we could think in one line without using any data frame, just raw data. Now I'm creating random number and doing a cumulative sum. Then I'm doing the color R, and then I'm saying that it's a dashed line. So I'm saying K dash dash, which says that it's a dashed line, and alpha is 1. What happens if I put alpha is equal to 0.5? You can see through those lines. If I put alpha equal to 0.1, it's going to be too light, but alpha is equal to 1 is like the darkest possible line. So this is the most simple plot that we can plot in Python without getting into a lot of mess. Now, sometimes we want to draw a lot of charts into the same chart, like 3 or 4 charts into the same chart. Then we use something called subplot. We can create different subplots and show them on the screen and use them to our advantage. So we can create a figure, then we can say add subplot 221, 222 and 223 and so on. Now let me show you how to do uploading on a data frame. So if we create a very simple data frame, and this data frame is random numbers, it has columns A, B, C, D, and it has an index which is 0 to 100 with an increment of 10. If I were to see what is inside the data frame, this is inside the data frame. My index is 0 to 100 with an increment of 10. My columns are A, B, C, D. And when I say df.plot, it automatically assumes that on the x-axis you want to put your index. That's why we studied date time format, and date time would be on the x-axis so that it could easily plot the date time axis or whatever we are looking for. So that's plotting through the data frame. Okay, we could also plot either bar graph, which would be a horizontal, or a vertical from the data frame directly. So let's see how to do that. Here we are creating figure and axis, and we are creating a subplot with 1 row and 2 columns. When we do that, we can then use it to our advantage, the 1 row and 2 column. Then we are creating this data set, and we are saying that we want a bar and a bar graph in 1 row and 2 column format. And here we are saying that go to x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 1 and plot them out. If I were to see what is inside the data, then this is my data. But for the same data, I want to create an index would remain the same. Index would always be on the x-axis unless otherwise specified. And if I were to flip this over, I have to do a 1 and I have to do a 0 here. And it's going to flip things over. So we can flip this over, change the color, change the alpha, which is how transparent, translucent that looks like. And when we create a subplot, then we have to use axes, axis 0 and axis 1 to call these things into effect. So here we are using another series type. It could have been a data frame as well. Another series type. And always remember that by default on the x-axis is going to be date, time, index, or whatever is the index in our case. Okay, I'm going to show you a loop inside a loop. We're not going to talk about it that much, but I'll just show you so that you have a slight idea of how things look like. So we are creating a subplot 2 comma 2. Then we are looping through the range because we have to go through like the first row, second column, first row, third column, second row, first column. So we loop through and use axes to our advantage. Then do a dot histogram. Then color is k, alpha is, and this is our bin size. So we are plotting a histogram. But since it's a subplot, we have to loop through the rows and the column to show that. Uh, Finally, I'm going to show you a bar plot, which is again plotted from uh, a data frame. So if you want, if the index is ABCD and the name of the index is Janus, so that's going to be my index all the time. Sorry, the index is 1, 2, 3, 4 and the columns are ABCD. So x-axis as default is going to use the index. And then on the columns, I'm going to put the bar graph. So when you use this, you can draw bar graph. This is just a very small introduction of how you can draw a simple chart using Python matplotlib library.